I never thought a harmless dare could spiral into something so life-altering. My name is Alex, a 22-year-old college student, and until last week, I was just another guy trying to survive finals, part-time work, and the endless mess of my social life. My roommate Emma, confident, daring, and borderline mischievous, always had a flair for pushing boundaries. She loved games, challenges, and more than anything, seeing me squirm. I lived in a cramped apartment downtown, where the hum of traffic outside my window became the soundtrack of my ordinary life. My daily routine was predictable: lectures, coffee, and late-night gaming sessions. No surprises, no drama, until Emma came up with that fun idea. It all started innocently. She was scrolling through a fashion blog, giggling at elaborate outfits and makeup tutorials, and then she glanced at me with that spark in her eyes that I'd come to dread. "Alex," she said, her voice playful but somehow commanding, "I bet you couldn't pull off being a girl for a whole evening. Just for fun." At first, I laughed. "You're kidding, right?" I joked, imagining myself in dresses and lipstick. The very thought made my stomach twist with a mixture of fear and curiosity. Emma's smirk told me she wasn't kidding. She already had a plan. I tried to back out. "Come on, it's just a joke. Everyone would know it's me. I'd look ridiculous." Her grin widened. "Exactly. That's the fun part. But trust me, once you try it, you might not want to stop." I couldn't understand why her words both terrified and intrigued me. Something in her challenge lit a spark I didn't know existed. Deep down, I was curious. Curious about feeling different, about stepping into someone else's skin, even for just one night. But fear clenched me tighter. What if someone saw me like that? What if I hated it? Emma didn't give me much time to think. She dragged me into her room, which she had transformed into a mini dressing studio. There were racks of dresses, shelves of makeup, and stacks of wigs in every imaginable color. Her eyes glinted with excitement as she handed me a soft pink dress. "Try this," she said. My hands shook. The fabric felt foreign, delicate, and intoxicating all at once. I felt a strange thrill that made my pulse race. She guided me through the process: tights, heels, makeup, and finally the wig. Each step felt surreal. When I looked into the mirror, I barely recognized myself. The reflection staring back was softer, more delicate, undeniably feminine. My heart thumped with a mixture of panic and a strange, undeniable pride. Emma clapped her hands. "Perfect. You look amazing, honestly." I could barely speak. My voice caught somewhere between panic and amazement. My brain screamed to remove the outfit, to escape this humiliating experiment, but my body betrayed me, frozen as I stared at the reflection that was almost unrecognizably me. For the first time in my life, I understood the strange power of appearance. I felt different. Vulnerable, yes, but also exhilaratingly alive. Emma didn't notice, or maybe she did, but she kept teasing, guiding, and observing. She pulled me toward the living room, where she had set up a mini photo shoot. Lights, camera, and a phone to capture every moment. I wanted to hide, but curiosity anchored me in place. We laughed, posed, and filmed snippets of the experiment. But as the evening drew on, a creeping fear began to settle in my chest. What if someone saw the photos? What if Emma took this fun game too far? I tried to shake off the panic, reminding myself it was only temporary. Just one night. Nothing more. Yet, even as I told myself that, a part of me, an unfamiliar, soft, and trembling part, relished every glance at the mirror, every careful adjustment of the wig, every swipe of lipstick. I had never felt this kind of attention to my appearance. The thrill of being seen differently stirred a strange desire I couldn't explain. By the end of the night, I was exhausted, my legs sore from the heels, my hands sticky with makeup, but there was a lingering warmth in my chest. Something had changed. I didn't know what, but I knew this wouldn't be the last time. Emma leaned close, whispering conspiratorially, "See? I told you it would be fun. And maybe you liked it more than you expected." I swallowed hard, my heart pounding. Could she see what I was feeling? Could she know that the thrill, the curiosity, this secret excitement. It wasn't just about the dare. I wanted to deny it, but my reflection said otherwise. That night, as I peeled off the wig, removed the dress, and washed away the makeup, a heavy thought settled in my mind. What if this one night wasn't just a game? What if pretending to be a girl had unlocked something permanent, something that I couldn't, or wouldn't, want to reverse? I went to bed that night, restless, my mind racing with both fear and anticipation. Emma slept peacefully, unaware of the storm brewing inside me. And somewhere deep down, I knew my life had already begun to change forever. The next few days blurred together, each one steeped in the memory of that first night. I went through my daily routine, but nothing felt ordinary anymore. Even the simple act of brushing my teeth in front of the mirror became a moment of reflection, not just of my appearance, but of this new version of myself that had quietly emerged. I couldn't stop thinking about how I had looked in the dress, the wig falling softly over my shoulders, the subtle shimmer of lipstick accentuating my lips. It wasn't just curiosity anymore. It had awakened something I didn't understand, a fascination that made my heart race in both fear and excitement. Emma noticed it immediately. She had that sly smile on her face as soon as I walked into the apartment that day. "So, did you enjoy yourself?" she asked casually, though her eyes glimmered with mischief. I hesitated. "It was weird," I mumbled, hoping my voice sounded nonchalant. "Weird in a good way, I hope," she teased. I laughed awkwardly. Yeah, good weird. But the truth was far more complicated. I didn't just like it. I loved it, in a way that scared me. I loved how it felt to see myself as someone else, softer, more delicate, and completely unrecognizable as the guy I had been just a week ago. And with that realization came guilt, panic, and a strange, fluttering thrill. Emma seemed to sense my hesitation and pressed further. "I think you're hiding something," she said, circling me like a cat. "Don't worry, I'm not judging. In fact, I might have a little plan for you." Her words sent a shiver down my spine. Plans from Emma never stayed harmless. But before I could protest, she was already pulling me toward her bedroom again. "You need practice," she said with a grin. "And trust me, practice makes perfect." I tried to resist, but a part of me, the part one didn't dare admit to, wanted to give in. We spent the evening going through different outfits, experimenting with colors, textures, and styles. Each time I looked in the mirror, I caught glimpses of a version of myself I hadn't known existed. I felt exposed, vulnerable, but also strangely empowered. As the night progressed, Emma handed me a set of high heels. My stomach sank at the sight of them. Walking in heels was supposed to be difficult, humiliating even, but as I slipped my feet into them, something shifted. There was a rhythm to the way I moved, a confidence I didn't expect. Each step felt like a secret rebellion, a hidden thrill that I couldn't escape. By the time Emma coaxed me into trying more makeup, I was trembling, not from fear, but from anticipation. She showed me how to contour, highlight, and apply lipstick properly. My reflection morphed with each brushstroke, becoming softer, more refined. When I finally looked into the mirror, I hardly recognized the person staring back at me. The lines of my face softened, my eyes seemed brighter, and my lips were unrecognizably feminine. "That's amazing," Emma whispered, almost reverently. "You look incredible." Her praise made my chest tighten. I wanted to feel embarrassed, to pull away, but I couldn't. A part of me wanted to stay in that mirror forever, trapped in this new, thrilling identity. The suspense of being caught added another layer of excitement. Every time the door creaked, my heart leapt. Each shadow outside the window, each passing neighbor, made me aware of how precarious my secret was. The thought of Emma returning unexpectedly, or worse, someone else walking in, made my adrenaline spike. Over the next week, the situation escalated. Emma insisted I try crossdressing during the day, not just at night. "You need to get comfortable with it," she said, dragging me out into public spaces under the guise of fashion experiments. Each outing was a nightmare, and a thrill rolled into one. I felt the stares, the whispers, the subtle glances that made me hyper-aware of every movement. My body screamed for me to stop, to run, but my mind craved it. The internal struggle was unbearable. On one hand, I wanted to hide, to return to the familiar world of jeans and t-shirts. On the other, a magnetic pull kept me drawn toward this new persona, this version of myself that seemed to command attention in a way I had never experienced. Each day, the lines between Alex and her, yes, I realized I even thought of myself as a her in these moments, blurred further. Emma noticed the conflict. "You're not resisting as much as you think," she said one evening, her eyes sharp. "You enjoy it. Don't lie to me." I froze. She was right, but admitting it felt like confessing a crime. It's complicated," I muttered. "It doesn't have to be," she said gently. "You can let yourself explore this. You might even like it more than you expect." Her words both terrified and exhilarated me. I wanted to resist, but the truth was undeniable. I was falling into this new identity faster than I had ever imagined. The thrill of dressing up, of seeing myself transformed, was intoxicating. Each wig, each dress, each swipe of lipstick reinforced a feeling I couldn't escape. Then came the real test. Emma set up a small gathering at our apartment, friends who didn't know about my experiments. She insisted I attend, fully dressed, fully made up. My stomach churned with panic. The thought of being seen, of someone recognizing me as Alex despite the transformation, was unbearable. But Emma was relentless. "You need to experience it fully," she said. "Tonight, you're not Alex. You're her. And I promise it'll be unforgettable." That night, I stepped into the living room wearing a flowing dress, heels clicking on the floor, makeup perfected. My reflection in the mirror was breathtaking and terrifying. As our friends arrived, I felt every eye on me. Their murmurs, their subtle glances, made my heart pound. Could they see through the illusion? Did they know it was me? The night became a blur of whispered compliments, flirtatious glances, and quiet moments of panic. I laughed when I was supposed to laugh, smiled when expected, and hid my shaking hands beneath the table. Every step, every gesture, was a balancing act between maintaining my secret and embracing this new, exhilarating persona. Emma, ever the observer, watched from the corner with that knowing smile. "See?" she whispered when our friends complimented me. "You're amazing." I wanted to argue, to pull off the dress, to reclaim my old identity, but I couldn't. The thrill, the suspense, the dangerous allure of being caught, but not quite caught, it was addictive. And deep down, I knew that once this night ended, nothing would ever feel the same. By the time our friends left, I was exhausted, physically and emotionally. But as I looked in the mirror, adjusting my wig one last time, I realized something terrifying and exhilarating at once. I didn't want to go back. And that's when the thought hit me, sharp and undeniable. Maybe I wasn't just pretending anymore. Maybe this was who I was, or at least who I was becoming. The night had started like any other experiment with Emma. Carefully curated outfits, makeup perfected, and the thrill of stepping into a persona I was beginning to inhabit fully. But this night felt different. The air in our apartment was thick with anticipation, every creak and shadow amplified by my racing heartbeat. Emma had planned a small gathering, a few friends from work who didn't know the real me. She had insisted I attend, dressed completely, heels clicking on the hardwood floors, wig perfectly in place. "It's time you experienced it fully," she had said with a mischievous grin. "You're her tonight, Alex. Not him." As I stood in the hallway, adjusting the dress and clutching my bag, panic clawed at my chest. My reflection in the mirror showed someone unrecognizable, someone soft, delicate, undeniably feminine. The lipstick, the eyeshadow, the wig, they weren't just accessories. They were a mask that felt like a second skin, one I wasn't sure I could ever remove. The doorbell rang. Emma squeezed my hand, reassuringly. "You've got this. Just be confident." I forced a smile and opened the door. Friends entered, chatting casually, but their eyes immediately fell on me. Whispers started almost instantly, subtle enough to sound innocent, but loud enough to set my nerves on fire. Every compliment felt like a challenge, every glance a test. Could they see through me? Could they recognize Alex hidden beneath this elaborate disguise? I moved through the crowd, smiling, laughing when expected, every step in heels a careful negotiation with gravity. My heart raced with the fear of being exposed, my stomach twisting with a mixture of excitement and terror. I had never felt so alive and so vulnerable at the same time. Emma hovered nearby, observing my every move with that knowing smile. "See," she whispered. "You're amazing. You're doing perfectly." Her praise should have calmed me, but it only intensified the pressure. I was no longer pretending in the privacy of our apartment. I was performing, and the stakes had never been higher. Each sip of wine, each laugh at a joke, each compliment whispered over my shoulder was a test of how far I could push this new identity without being unmasked. Then it happened. One of Emma's colleagues, a sharp-eyed woman named Claire, leaned closer, examining me with subtle curiosity. "You look different," she said softly. "I can't put my finger on it. It's new, but familiar somehow." My pulse spiked. Could she see? Did she know? My fingers trembled, clutching my drink tighter. I forced a laugh, hoping it sounded natural. "Oh, thanks," I said, my voice just slightly higher than usual. Claire's gaze lingered a moment longer than comfortable. I felt my chest tighten. Every nerve screamed that I was seconds away from exposure. Emma noticed my discomfort and intervened smoothly. "She looks amazing, doesn't she?" she said brightly, redirecting the conversation. I exhaled slowly, but the anxiety didn't fade. Every movement, every laugh, every glance was an intricate dance to maintain the illusion. The more I embraced this persona, the harder it became to remember who I was beneath it. And deep down, a terrifying thought began to form. Maybe I didn't want to remember. Then came the knock at the door. My heart froze. Who could it be at this hour? We hadn't expected anyone else. Emma gave me a reassuring look, but her own smile faltered slightly. I moved toward the door, heels clicking sharply against the floor. Peeking through the peephole, my breath caught. It was my neighbor, Mark, one of the few people who knew me as Alex. Panic surged. "He can't see me like this," I whispered under my breath, my voice trembling. Emma's hand found mine, grounding me, but it did little to ease the terror racing through my veins. "I'll handle this," she said confidently, slipping past me to open the door. Mark stepped in, and my stomach sank further. "Hey, I just wanted to borrow some sugar." "Oh," he paused, his eyes flicking to me, then quickly to Emma. "Oh, wow." I froze, caught mid-step, feeling the weight of every stare. My heart pounded, my ears rang, and I could barely breathe. Mark's gaze lingered, and for a moment, I felt utterly exposed, as if the mask could be ripped away at any second. Emma's smile never wavered. "Alex, I mean, she's just trying something new," she said smoothly. "You'll get used to it." Mark nodded, though his expression betrayed curiosity and confusion. He glanced at me again, but I could see the wheels turning in his head. Was he suspicious? Did he recognize me? My hands shook as I sipped my drink, hoping he wouldn't connect the dots. Minutes felt like hours. Every word from Mark, every glance from Claire or the other guests, heightened the tension until it was almost unbearable. I laughed when expected, smiled when required, but inside, I was a storm of panic and exhilaration. Then came the tipping point. I had been walking across the room, heels clacking against the hardwood, when one of the straps on my dress snagged on the edge of a chair. The fabric tore slightly, and I stumbled, catching myself on the table. The room fell silent for a split second, eyes all on me. My pulse raced. This was it, the moment I had feared. My secret, my dual identity, was hanging by a thread. I could feel the adrenaline coursing through me, every muscle tensed. Emma's hand found mine again, a silent anchor, and I realized that this wasn't just about fear anymore. It was about control. Could I maintain the illusion, or would it crumble here, in front of everyone? I straightened, forced a laugh, and brushed off the torn strap as if it were nothing. "Clumsy me," I said softly, hoping it sounded natural. The room murmured with relief and mild amusement. I had survived, barely, but the thrill of danger, of almost being exposed, was intoxicating. As the evening drew to a close, I excused myself to the bathroom. Locking the door behind me, I leaned against the sink, my body trembling with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Looking into the mirror, I saw her, me, Alex, transformed, vulnerable, and undeniably alive. The lipstick was smudged slightly, the wig a bit askew, but the reflection staring back at me was powerful, intoxicating, and terrifying all at once. Emma appeared in the doorway, leaning casually against the frame. "You handled that beautifully," she said, her voice low and approving. "You're learning to become her, and I think you like it." I swallowed hard. I don't know," I admitted. "It's overwhelming." Emma stepped closer, her hand brushing mine. "Overwhelming is good. It means you're alive, feeling, exploring. You're discovering a part of yourself you didn't know existed." Her words settled over me like a weight and a whisper. I wanted to resist, to claw back to the comfort of who I used to be, but I couldn't. The thrill, the suspense, the intoxicating power of this hidden identity was too strong. And in that moment, I realized the terrifying truth. I might never want to go back. Just as I was beginning to calm down, the bathroom door rattled. I froze. Outside, I could hear a voice, Mark's. "Alex? Are you okay?" My heart stopped. Emma squeezed my hand tightly. "It's okay. Just be calm," she whispered. I stared into the mirror, my reflection splitting into two versions of myself, the Alex I knew and the girl I had become. My chest tightened with anxiety, excitement, and a deep, unsettling realization. My life had changed forever. The door handle turned slowly, and that's when the story reached its edge. Caught between panic and exhilaration, identity and disguise, reality and transformation. The bathroom door creaked open just slightly, the handle trembling under the gentle push. My breath caught in my throat. Outside, Mark's voice echoed again, calm, but curious. "Alex? Are you sure you're okay in there?" I froze, my hands pressed against the cool porcelain sink. Every instinct screamed to hide, to retreat, to erase the girl in the mirror and return to the familiar, safe Alex. But something held me in place, a mix of fear, excitement, and the strange, intoxicating thrill of being someone else entirely. Emma's presence at my side grounded me, but didn't diminish the storm of panic raging inside. Her hand squeezed mine reassuringly, a silent signal that she had my back, that together we could navigate this precarious tightrope. Mark knocked again, this time a little louder. "Hey, are you in there?" I opened my mouth to respond, but the words faltered, stuck somewhere between Alex and the girl I had become. My reflection stared back at me, soft lips, wide eyes, delicate jawline, all framed by the wig that Emma had styled with precision. It wasn't just makeup or clothing, it was a transformation that felt almost permanent, almost real. Emma leaned closer. "I'll handle him," she whispered, stepping out with a confident stride that made my heart both flutter and tighten. Her voice called out, calm and bright. "Mark, everything's fine in here." Alex just needed a minute. There was a pause, a beat that stretched impossibly long. I could hear Mark's footsteps shifting, a slight hesitation in the hallway. Then he spoke, quieter this time. "All right, if you say so. Just call me if you need anything." The sound of his footsteps retreating felt like the release of a held breath. My knees weakened, and I sank back against the sink, gripping the edge tightly. The adrenaline that had kept me poised, confident, and dangerous moments ago began to fade, leaving behind a heady mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. Emma returned, closing the door softly behind her. Her eyes sparkled with that teasing, almost predatory amusement she always carried when she pushed me to the edge. "You did it," she said softly. "You survived and you didn't even crack. I'm proud." I wanted to feel proud too, but the emotions were jumbled, raw, and almost too intense to sort. I don't know how," I admitted, my voice catching. "It was too close," he almost. Emma silenced me, with a finger to my lips. Don't think about him. Think about you. Think about who you're becoming. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. Becoming what? I wasn't sure anymore. Alex, the person I had been, seemed distant, like a shadow behind the girl I now inhabited. My reflection stared back at me, and for the first time, I didn't recognize the person looking out. The lipstick, the wig, the soft dress, they weren't just tools for a night. They were me. Or maybe she was me. A sudden knock at the bathroom door snapped me back into the present. My pulse skyrocketed again. Emma's eyes narrowed, and I knew instinctively that whatever came next was going to test the fragile balance of this new identity. "I'll handle this," she said again, her voice steady, almost commanding. She opened the door slightly and peeked out. A shadow loomed in the hallway, larger than Mark. My heart skipped a beat. It wasn't him. It was someone else. Someone unexpected. Emma stiffened, her confidence faltering for the briefest moment, and I felt my stomach drop. Whoever it was, they didn't belong here, and the look in their eyes sent an icy chill down my spine. I wanted to hide, to vanish into the bathroom, to shed the persona that had brought me this far, but I was frozen. My heels pinched, my chest tightened, and the lipstick felt suddenly heavy on my lips. The door opened wider, and I glimpsed a familiar face, someone from my past I had never expected to see here tonight. Their eyes scanned the room, lingering on me, and I realized with a shock that this person didn't just recognize Alex. They saw the girl, fully formed, fully alive. Time seemed to stop. My heart pounded in my ears, every nerve screaming with fear, excitement, and a wild, uncontainable thrill. Emma's hand tightened around mine, grounding me, but even her presence couldn't erase the electric tension that charged the air. The person took a slow step forward. Well, they said, a small smile playing at the corners of their lips. "Looks like someone's been hiding something from me." I felt my breath catch. Every instinct told me to run, to revert to the safety of Alex, to erase the girl standing in the mirror. But something inside me refused. This version of me, soft, fragile, and beautiful, was no longer something I could simply undo. Emma whispered in my ear, almost reverently, "Don't worry. We'll face this together." I nodded, though my hands shook violently. My reflection stared back at me once more, and in her eyes, I saw a challenge, a dare, and a truth I could no longer deny. Before I could speak, the person took another step closer, and their eyes locked onto mine. The world seemed to tilt, the room shrinking until all that existed was that gaze, that recognition, that terrifying and exhilarating moment of exposure. "Alex, or should I say her?" the person murmured. And in that instant, everything froze. My lips parted, the lipstick glinting under the dim hallway light, my heart hammering as the realization hit me like a tidal wave. This was just the beginning. Whatever came next could change everything. Forever. The story stopped there, suspended on the knife edge of suspense. I was caught between identities, between fear and desire, between the person I had been and the girl I had become. And the viewer, left staring at the screen, was left with the burning question, what happens next? Would Alex be discovered, or would she fully embrace her new life? The screen fades to black, leaving only the echo of my heartbeat, the lingering whisper of Emma's presence, and the shadow of the unknown visitor waiting in the hallway.